Primal Kitchen, actually, I use those, and they have a couple of flavors, so there are options. Still to come after the break, a look at where you can find Darby on the road. Tomorrow and Friday, we'll let you know. Stay close. Details coming in just in this moment, reporting that one person, let me just make sure we have that correct. This is the AP reporting this. One officer was killed and 3 injured after that shooting in Dallas. It's still a very active scene there right now, as you can see from this video. And things are constantly changing. We're getting new reports in. It happened, if you remember, as we told you at the top of the newscast, at a Black Lives Matter rally in Dallas as people gathered to protest this week's police shootings of black men in both Louisiana and in Minnesota. Again, AP, the latest is that one officer was shot and killed, 3 others injured after that shooting there in Dallas. Keep looking for updates on this story. We are going to stay on this for you all night long. You can visit our website, 4029tv.com, for the very latest. And Fayetteville police arrested a man who they say fired shots at a car in a parking garage. This happened, they say, on June 13th on Dixon Street. Investigators tell us that video from that night shows a fight of some sort. And at some point, a man is seen firing 3 shots. Police believe that that person is this man here, Travion Billups. It was a deadly weekend across our country as shootings killed more than 130 people and injured hundreds more in just the last 72 hours. In New Jersey over the weekend, 2 people killed, 12 injured after gunfire broke out at a house party. In South Carolina, a 14-year-old girl fatally shot, 14 others hurt at an outdoor concert. And then near Santa Ana, California on Friday morning, 6-year-old Aiden gunned down in a possible road rage incident. His killer still on the loose, his mother still stunned. Fired Minneapolis police officer Derek Chauvin heads to prison for 22 years, 22 and a half for the murder of George Floyd. A judge issuing his sentence after Chauvin's last-ditch effort for a new trial failed earlier today. Thanks for joining us. I'm Paige Preusse.
And I'm Brandon Evans. This all began last year when Chauvin was seen on camera pinning Floyd to the ground with a knee on his neck. ABC's Faith Abube.
So thank you. It was an explosive day of testimony in the murder trial of a man accused of killing a 2-year-old little girl in Van Buren. We want to bring in 4029's Matt Rains. He's joining us live right now with more on what the child's mother said about who she thinks is responsible for her child's death. Well, tomorrow is the 17th annual NWA Pride Parade, and some roads in downtown Fayetteville will be closed off to traffic, just a heads up. So East Avenue between Meadows Street and Dixon Street, and then Highland Avenue between Dixon Street and Lafayette Street will be closed starting at 7:30 in the morning for parade staging. The parade actually starts at 12 p.m. It will proceed west on Dixon Street to University Avenue. Side streets along the parade route will be closed and reopen as the parade progresses there.
A lot going on this weekend.
Yeah.
Well, River Valley Regional Food Bank, it is partnering with local pet shelters, Paige.
Yeah, in just a moment, we'll tell you how this can benefit animals in need. Yeah, folks in the community had a lot to say at tonight's meeting, but Craig, there were a few big takeaways. The first, as you mentioned, there were 3 options presented as to how to put out the fire. It was also determined tonight who is ultimately responsible. The mayor saying that that is the property owner. He said that he had a meeting with the ADEQ last Friday, and the property owners are the ones, as they determined, who should take responsibility for this fire. Now, there are 3 different options as to how to put it out, and that would be determined by the ADEQ. So the first is to cut trenches. The second is to use foam, is what they said. And the third is excavation. So they would pick up the fire physically, remove it, take it to a safe location where they could safely extinguish the fire using water. If you remember, the mayor of Bella Vista had concerns before about doing that here in Bella Vista because it would affect nearby Lake Anne. So that was the option that folks we spoke to say that they seem to like the most out of all of this. Again, I did ask the mayor if there was a timeline set as to when they would make these determinations. He said he did not know. On a few big takeaways to tick off for you. So the first, as you just mentioned, possible solutions as to how to put out the fire, which I'll get to in just a moment. But also tonight it was determined who is responsible for putting out the fire. The mayor saying that he had a meeting with the ADEQ last Friday, and there they determined that it's the property owner's responsibility to put it out. They also determined determined that the ADEQ would determine how. So here are the three options. They said one was trenches, they say the other was foams, and then the third was excavation, which seemed to be the popular choice amongst people in the meeting tonight. And he also says that this option would be the most practical. They would pick up the fire, take it to a safe place to extinguish. I asked him if the ADEQ would consider any public input before making any ultimate determinations.
Sure, what the state.
So that's what has folks so concerned tonight, is how long they're going to be waiting for this fire to be put out. The other issue is cost. So rough cost estimates are that it's going to cost anywhere from $2 to $8 million, and there's no telling if the property owner has that kind of money. So that's a wait and see kind of thing. We also know that the mayor says he's having another meeting with the ADEQ this Friday, so we hope to have an update then. Live tonight in Bella Vista, Paige Preusse, 4029 News. No. Well, Hardin is here at the Benton County Jail tonight. He's behind bars, and this is where he will remain until a verdict is reached in this case. What's interesting, Craig, what I'm learning tonight is that before Hardin found himself on the other side of the law, he actually worked for several area law enforcement agencies. In fact, the Benton County prosecutor confirming today that he worked for the Eureka Springs Police Department, and he was also the chief of police for the Gateway Police Department before it closed in 2016. Now, I'm also learning he was a constable for Benton County. Today, as you mentioned, he had a hearing, his bond hearing, and he showed no emotion as he left the courtroom, as you can see in this video. And Craig, the prosecutor is saying today that he is proud of his team for staying on this case for as long as they have. They only hope this brings about justice for the victim. I can also tell you in the bond hearing today, the judge set a bond of $250,000. He also made a no contact order for the suspect. Live in Bentonville, Paige Preusse, 4029 News.
Okay.
You know, today the River Valley Regional Food Bank donated more than 38,000 pounds of cat and dog food to animal rescue shelters in Fort Smith. So they do a lot of great work for human beings and animals. The distribution will help local shelters keep rescued animals fed. We're seeing a lot of those people you were just talking about, Kelly, and we're also seeing delays. You mentioned some severe weather in Houston delaying flights. We do know the arriving flight from Houston is delayed.